and welcome to the Favourite Football Extra Time podcast. I'm James Killick, and with me today is Benjamin Howard. Ben, how are you doing?
Reverse Brandeur technique.
I asked you not to do that. But still you do it anyway.
Oh, well, I like to be because we are talking about European football, James. I like to be a bit, release my inner European football language.
Well, I can't speak any European, but as long as you're not being offensive, I'm sure that's fine. We haven't got a language warning on today because we're not going to swear. The potty mouths are not on this podcast. Yeah? They'll be back. Don't worry about that.
They've not been sacked just yet.
No, they've not been sacked. We need them. Great, though. We can't run this ship alone. It'll burn. Right. Let's jump straight into the action then, shall we? Let's start with the Champions League. Shall we start with maybe the biggest shock? Atalanta 0, Liverpool 5. What did you think of this one?
I mean, I think it was a shock in terms of the scoreline. I think many of us thought Atalanta would give Liverpool a game because they scored 96 goals last year in the league. And I think a few of us have thought, you know what, they could give Liverpool a game there with their centre-backs being out without Fabinho, Van Dijk and that. And they obviously were using Gomez and Reece Williams at the back. But then I guess Atalanta didn't really create them any problems in the first half. Like Liverpool were all over them. And it only became towards the end of the game that Atalanta were actually getting chances. And Zapata hitting the post and crossbar, forcing good saves from Alisson as well. So it wasn't until the latter stages that Atalanta were really troubling Liverpool. But by that, I think Liverpool pretty much counter-attacking them and playing good football as well. And especially Jota getting a hat-trick.
Yeah, it was domination, really, wasn't it? And I guess it's a surprise because, as you say, Atalanta have been in such great form. Obviously, if you actually took the squads and the budget and everything, I guess it's not. But Atalanta obviously did so well in the competition last year. And I guess it was a bit of a surprise. I mean, it was a week of less shocks, I'd say, than we've had recently. Maybe football's starting to even itself out a little bit.
It's going back to normal again.
Yeah, that's a shame. But yeah, good performance. And let's speak about Jota then. Obviously, he has slipped in perfectly, hasn't he, to that Liverpool setup?
I mean, quite a few people maybe would have questioned this signing when he first signed.
Did you question it?
Huh?
Did you question it? I did. Yeah. I didn't think.
I mean, maybe it was a lot of money because obviously they could have had Werner if they wanted to at the beginning of the summer for maybe 10 million more, but then maybe his wages would have been bigger. But I guess the thing with Liverpool is maybe we shouldn't question their signings because if you look at when Salah was brought in from Roma, he's a Chelsea reject. He's not going to do well in the Premier League. You look at Mane, he's only coming from Southampton. He won't do much. You look at Andy Robertson as well. He's coming from a relegated Hull. Wijnaldum, he came from a relegated side. Shaqiri, he came from a relegated side. I guess maybe we shouldn't really question them that much because they're obviously Champions League winners and Premier League champions.
Yeah, you can't. And it's interesting you speak about some names there because in preparation, I was looking at the players that obviously Klopp has brought in, and clearly he's been there for a while now. We're talking 4 years. But look at some of the players he's brought in here. He brought in Sadio Mane, which was 30 million, which, I mean, how much would he sell for now? Wijnaldum, 25. Obviously, Salah, like you said, 34. People thought that was a mistake. Andy Robertson, I think it was 8 plus add-ons. There's a lot of players there. I mean, the only one maybe you'd question in terms of a big spend is Keita. Has he been a complete flop? No. Has he been what we thought he could be? Maybe not. But he's had a couple of injuries and he took a while to settle in. But they get it right every single time. And like you say with Jota, I think I even said in this podcast, why not spend the extra and get Werner? But he's gone in there and he looks incredible. And you didn't see that at Wolves, did you? Not like this.
I think we saw glimpses of it at Wolves. I mean, I think people rated him at Wolves saying, he's quite a good player, Jota, He suits that Wolves system. But would we have gone to say he's a world-class player or an amazing player? I think we're all kind of issued. Yeah, he's a decent player for Wolves. He'll be pretty comfortable in the Premier League. But now he's obviously coming to Liverpool. You would say he's surrounded by better players as well.
Yeah,
and maybe a formation that suits him as well. But you've seen what he's doing. He's got 7 goals now. And Roberto Firmino didn't score that. As Jota is, on form terms, is being better than Firmino at the moment.
He has, yeah. And there's been sort of questions over Firmino because he hasn't got as many goals. I mean, Ellis, obviously, our co-host, has mentioned, obviously, does a lot of work for the team. I think we might see Firmino this weekend play against Manchester City because one thing you can't argue with is he's one of the best attacking defenders or defensive attackers. Does that make sense? His pressing is fantastic.
It's a term that's being used now, an attacking defender. But obviously, when I look at an attacker, at the end of the day, he is a striker, and his role is to score goals. I mean, he should get more goals than he gets. I mean, you can give him credit for pressing from the front, that being core to Liverpool style, him helping his teammates, obviously benefit from that. But at the end of the day, he should be scoring and doing a bit more in front of goal.
Maybe that's the case. And I don't know if you saw Jota's, I think it was his second goal, the one where he took it down and then volleyed it into the bottom left. He sort of took it one touch into, it was a fantastic goal. And even Mane sort of went over, sort of giving him a look of, God, that was serious. So he settled in so quickly there, and that seems really to be the case for most there. So it's good for Liverpool. Obviously, they played 3 games, topping the group with 9 points, goal difference of 8. I mean, they're smashing it, aren't they? I mean, second in the group is Ajax, who have played 3 and on 4 points. So they got a 5-point lead in that group.
And especially they've got 3 clean sheets as well. And I think all without, maybe 2 without Van Dijk as well. So obviously they've been struggling for injuries as well. So I think if you're a Liverpool fan, you'd be pretty happy. I mean, after the Villa game, we're maybe saying, is this the Liverpool team? You know, what can we expect from them? Are they going to keep suffering after this 7-2 loss? But they're top of the league in the Premier League without Van Dijk. They've had injuries and they're top of their Champions League group as well. I mean, you can't really complain.
No, I think one good thing about Liverpool is, and the way obviously Jurgen Klopp sets up his team, is that when you're coming in, of course it's not an easy style, but you know what your role is, don't you? Everything is very sort of mapped out. They're a very specific team, and I think that can help when you bring in like a Jota. You don't have to change too much. You just sort of slide into that system and just become part of it, and it sort of takes away a little bit of your own skill, and it's sort of more about the team, because obviously they've dropped in young centre-backs who, to be honest, we've never even heard of, and looking good, not conceding goals, and you think, well, that couldn't really happen to other teams, could it? It's a lot about the whole squad sort of coming together.
I think at Liverpool there seems to be a close, tight-knit squad thing, and when you play under Klopp, he believes in you, and if you are chosen by Klopp, you know you are going to deliver under him because of obviously him picking you in that. So you saw when they beat West Ham, they didn't keep a clean sheet, but Nat Phillips, who was on loan at Stuttgart last year, he done very well against West Ham, and same with Reece Williams. He was playing for Kidderminster like a year or so ago, and now he's doing it in the Champions League. So I think it shows the faith what Klopp has in his players, and also maybe the players benefiting from that as well.
Yeah, I heard something yesterday actually on it was another podcast, and basically what it said was the reason they don't think it's a big deal, or is it is a big deal, but the reason it's maybe not become this huge, massive issue that we thought it could be is because Jurgen Klopp doesn't let it become that issue, does he? When he speaks, he doesn't speak like other managers could do, sort of like, we've had it, we've lost our best players. He keeps cool, doesn't he? He's like, look, it's a problem, we'll deal with it, and this is what we'll do, and they do deal with it. He brings a calmness to that, I think, at the front of the team.
Yeah, I think near enough every team does struggle with injuries. I think every team you do get the injury in that. However, when you lose Van Dijk, he's been a constant in Liverpool's side since he signed, but to lose him for a year now for an ACL injury, that's a huge loss. But the way they've dealt with it as well, he's not panicking. I can imagine him signing the defender in January, but they're not panicking at the moment because obviously he has that faith, and he's so calm about the situation as well, and it's not letting them affect the team.
Yeah, it's got to be, doesn't it? So obviously this game was in Group D. Looking at the table, as I said, we've got Liverpool 3 games with 9 points, and then it's quite close there because we've got Ajax and Atalanta, and that is tough. Who's going to go through between them? We would have probably said that before the competition started. They both got 4 points out of 3 games. Obviously, a few games to go. Midtjylland play 3 with no points, but I mean they're in a great group, and you wouldn't probably have expected them to go through, but it will be interesting to see who actually comes out of that group, won't it?
I imagine it'd be Liverpool, but it'll be tight between Ajax and Atalanta because obviously they'll play each other again soon. So I think the winner of that game will then obviously come second.
For sure. Okay, then shall we move on then? The next game here is Istanbul, Başakşehir versus Manchester United. The score was 2-1. Manchester United on the wrong end there of a defeat. I mean, what can you say about this game really? Because you've seen the 2 goals. Let's just get to the 2 goals. There's no point skipping around it. What was going on in them 2 goals? Because I watched it and I thought this is potentially one of the worst things I've seen on a football pitch. And that's not me just trying to go in on Ollie and United. And then I thought, maybe I'm being too harsh. Let me sort of listen to other things. And then I heard people say, I've never seen it under 10s. I've never seen it at 11s. I've never seen it in a professional. And I thought, no, it was as bad as I thought. I mean, what did you think when you saw him?
What absolutely shambolic defending, especially from a corner as well. I mean, from corners, you usually have an idea what you want to do from a corner. But even when it came for the short, they were still up there and they kind of had no idea what they're doing. And I don't know if that was a defensive tactic from Ollie, stay up there for the corner with the set piece and leave one person behind, or it's just bloody stupid from the players' sense of why no one's coming back. And it's like, who do you put the blame on there? Is it Ollie for telling the players to stay up there or part of their tactics and leaving Matic there with Demba Ba on his own? Or he wasn't even close to him, to be fair. Or do you blame the players for not even acknowledging that?
No, the worrying thing as well, when you look at the screenshots of that moment, you've got Demba Ba, who is outside of the centre circle, if that makes sense. So he's not actually hugging that halfway line. He's still got about, 15, 20 yards in front of him? Then he's got sort of another 10 yards, 15 yards to the next player, who obviously you said is Matic, who, let's be honest, he's not exactly a speed demon. It was just unbelievable. It was comical. Paul Scholes was the one, who said it was like under 10s football. And, it was.
I think that's a slander to under 10s football, I think, as well.
How did it happen? You're taking a corner. Surely one of you's got to look round and go, oh, Demba Ba's there. I'm just going to go sit back with him. Surely that's just the most basic. That would never happen. I have never seen that happen, Sunday League. And obviously you played a lot of Sunday League. If that ever happened, there would be a riot. There would be a riot on the pitch.
Corner flags going everywhere.
I just can't believe it. And it's... I don't know what to say. Because
where's the leadership, though? Where was the actual leadership and organisation? There wasn't any.
I think another thing that bothered me is that afterwards, when Solskjaer spoke about it, he said that Demba Ba snuck in behind. Now, I've got the screenshot in front of me now. Snuck in behind. I mean, he's not sneaking. He's standing there in a luminous orange T-shirt, screaming for the ball 20 yards in front of anyone else. And, well, if we move on, obviously, to the second goal, we'll leave that one. Let's dissect the second goal.
Behind is like me catching a burglar 20 yards from my house trying to get at my house.
The second goal, I think, was just as bad. And the players are far too over the left-hand side. Harry Maguire obviously notices that there's this free man in the box. And Harry Maguire basically runs full speed at the player in the box, who's Demba Ba, I believe, and doesn't take the ball, but just sort of runs past him. The ball then travels to the back, and obviously there's a goal. And once again, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Why is Harry Maguire running? I'm not saying the positioning was good in the first place, but why isn't he just standing off the man in the middle? Why is he just sprinting at him? And I tried to look back at a few goals, and Harry Maguire has this habit of just running towards the dude who's got the ball. And it's not what you do as a defender, is it? You stand off, you look at the players around you. It just seems like he's got this sort of ball dart where he'll just sprint in a straight line towards wherever the ball is. And I just think, what are you doing? £80 million. And you're playing like that. And I don't really think you can blame Solskjaer for that. Do you know what I mean? He needs to obviously understand his own game, surely.
Well, I mean, he doesn't look like the player from what we saw at Leicester. I mean, he never seemed to step up. You know, I thought he was better at Leicester than he was at United. And even for that goal as well, the amount of space at left back as well. How much space you want to leave at left back as well for him to strike the ball? It's just shambolic defending, and it's just hard to comprehend and try and justify the defending. Like, you pay 80 million for this guy for him to be a leader and sort out your defence, but he can't do it. He's shown not to do it. You can say, United kept a lot of clean sheets last year, but then it's like, yeah, but it still don't look defensively right. When each time a team kind of seems to go at you, you just seem to score.
They do have this issue, this constant issue, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, I think, is under more pressure. But the pattern is just there for everybody to see. They can play a game where they almost look too good, which is a bit concerning, and then they play a game where they almost look too bad, and this is probably the worst performance I've seen from them. And the problem is that they don't seem to be hitting that middle. Do you know what I mean? That middle part where you're just putting in constant good performances over a season. Things happen with this team that you never see in another team. I mean, we watch any level of football, and we say Sunday League, League One, League Two. You don't see the things that this team do sometimes, and it really messes with your mind. Because obviously, a couple of weeks ago, we were on extra time, obviously, and giving them praise, rightly so. But you shouldn't bounce all the way back to this. I don't know.
It always seems to be, each time United do something good, it's like 2 massive steps backwards. And I don't know if that's Ollie thinking, I've got a good result, I can just basically do what I want. It's like, he's not earned that right as a manager. Like, he's not in the same class as most managers in the Premier League. And it's just a bit like, sometimes it's hard, like, tactically with him. Like, he put in a tactical masterclass against PSG, and then he just does something against, like, what he did against Başakşehir. And he's like, in the league, they're like 16th. It's like, is that really a good season for United?
I don't think it is, but I also think there's another issue, which is the players, his sort of teammates. Everybody seems to put in a lot of anger towards the board, and I'm not saying it's not the board's fault to a certain extent, but I think the fact that they will never criticise him, and obviously they're the guys that millions of people are listening to on these shows or the sound bites or whatever. I think we do need to sort of accept that some of it is his responsibility. I mean, when that corner's taken, if you're Solskjaer and you're in the middle of the pitch there, remember, you are at the halfway line. That's probably when you need to be shouting, someone get back. Or do you know what I mean? Or you need to set up your team not to do things like this. And they're just incapable. And the problem is, I guess last year they did come third, and you think, could they have done better than third? I don't know. But I still don't think it's good enough. I'd still, because I think they had the third best squad. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult. Well, they're sort of becoming a bit of a mystery, really.
If I was a United fan, I'd be right, because this isn't a slander against Ole, but you've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a job at United, then you've got Pochettino and Allegri, who aren't in a job at the moment and are far superior managers to him. So why not do what Everton did? If something's not going well, you try and get the best on the market, and who has done well and who has a good record. They got Ancelotti in, and look at Everton now. I mean, last 2 games have been great, but you can see there's a change there. But with Ole, I still can't see that change at Man United.
Well, there's still no defined play style, which is a fact. And, his record's worse than Mourinho, and that's before, obviously, he brought in, obviously, Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That was under Ole, wasn't it? So, he's got a much better squad, not getting much better results. And to me, that's just black and white. There's the issue. I mean, I think Ole is good at other things. I think he's good in front of the camera, etc. I'm not sure about recently, because he seems to be saying some mad things, obviously saying snuck in behind and things like that. I think you've got to take responsibility sometimes. You've got to go at your players and saying things like, they're good boys, and stuff like that. I think, well, I don't really think you should be saying that, because you've got, millions of Man United fans watching, millions of football fans watching, who can see there's massive issues there. You do need to sort of accept it, I think, even publicly a little bit, and try and make a change. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. Let's stop talking about them, shall we? Every week we've got the Man United corner, and it's because, same with everyone, but crazy times. All right, shall we move on then to the next game, which is Real Madrid 3 in Milan 2. I mean, obviously Real Madrid haven't been in the best form, getting a good win against Inter. I guess notably in this game as well, Ramos got his 100th goal, didn't he? And you did some artwork, which obviously you can see on our socials at Fave Football Pod. It's good for him, isn't it? He's been there for a long time.
I mean, to get 100 goals as a defender is an achievement in itself. Like, who gets 100 goals as a defender?
Yeah.
Be serious.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. And look
Like,
at
especially what he's won as well. Like, he's near enough won everything. I think he kind of rivals Fernando Herrera at Real Madrid because he got something like 26 goals in a season as a defender.
God, 26.
Yeah. Fernando Herrera got 102 goals at Real Madrid, and then Ramos, who's a centre back, has got 100 goals as well. So it must be a Real Madrid thing where centre backs bloody get century of goals.
Well, it helps now that he's taken the penalties and pretty much everything else, isn't it? Ramos, he's decided to put himself on them. But yeah, and if you look at his, I guess a little look back at his Madrid career. I mean, he has won a lot of trophies, and he's one of them players that you hate, but then he's also an amazing defender, isn't he? Despite what you think, despite that final with Salah and Liverpool, where obviously Liverpool lost, I hated him for that. But then you sort of look back in time and go, the guy just wants to win at any cost, doesn't he? And he gives that team something. And I mean, when he goes, and clearly this isn't the season where he's going to go, but when he does, because he's 34 now, you think, God, that is going to leave a huge hole, isn't it? Huge hole.
You hate to play against him, but you love him on your team.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? You'd absolutely love him.
I don't know. This could be, maybe he has 2 years left at Madrid, because how long can you see him playing? I mean, could he be like Ibrahimovic, don't play until he's 40?
Don't know, because I remember a couple of years ago, or maybe a year or so ago, his form dipped, didn't it? And people saying, "Oh, is this the end?" But he sort of revived. I mean, he keeps himself fit. He takes it seriously. I mean, you've probably seen the videos he puts out and stuff where he's absolutely gunning it on a running machine or whatever. I mean, he's clearly an incredibly fit guy. But I mean, as you say, he's getting older, and you can't do anything about age. In the end, it will catch up with you. But yeah, good result though. Are you worried about Inter Milan, or do you think that's fair enough?
I mean, in Europe, they've not really hit the heights. I mean, they lost against Madrid. Who is it? They bloody what's the name? They drew against Shakhtar, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they drew against Mönchengladbach as well, didn't they? So they from 2 points. 2 points from 3 games? It's like they should be doing better, especially with the squad they have. Like Mönchengladbach at the top of their group. And not many people would have thought that. And they annihilated Shakhtar Donetsk 6-0, and Shakhtar Donetsk bloody beat Madrid and Inter Milan. So it looks like it's a group where it's all up for grabs and anyone is beating anyone in that group.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? When you look at that, you'd almost think that it's upside down, because you say you got Gladbach 3 games with 5 points. Then you got Shakhtar, obviously, who got that incredible result. And then sort of an incredible result again, but the other way round this time, recently. They're now second, 3 games, 4 points. And then obviously same as Real Madrid. And then Milan, 3 games and 2 points, which, yeah, you would have probably expected Real Madrid and Inter Milan to come out of that group. Saying that, I mean, there's still 3 games to go, isn't there? These are the group stages. And, we've seen Liverpool get big defeats in previous seasons, haven't we? And everyone's going, oh, God, they're losing in the groups. And then they got to a final and then won the competition. So I guess you can only,
I mean, Mönchengladbach are a good side, because Alisson Player, who bloody hit a hat-trick against Shakhtar Donetsk, and they got Marcus Thuram as well. I saw something funny, I think the other day, where it's like Sergio Ramos was playing against Lilian Thuram, and now he's playing against his son, Marcus Thuram.
I saw something actually. I saw a fact that Ramos obviously scored his first goal 2005 against Olympiacos, and the guy who whips in the free kick is Zidane. He's obviously now his manager. So it shows his, just how long he's been around. Really, it's crazy. Okay, moving on. I guess to the last mention of the Champions League games was Manchester City 3, Olympiacos 0. Not really a shock, is it? I guess this game, they got a much better squad. You would expect them to sort of take control of the game, although they didn't get the second goal until the 81st minute. Obviously, Jesus coming on for that, and Cancelo to score in the 90th minute to wrap up the game. But yeah, City doing well. But
yeah, you say just pretty comfortable for them. I mean, Ferran Torres has got 3 goals in 3 in the Champions League for them now.
He's doing all right, isn't he?
I mean, it's been a bit quiet in the Premier League, but in the Champions League, I mean, 3 goals in 3. So yeah, as long as he does, I mean, as long as they win the Champions League, I guess I think they'd be quite happy this year, Man City.
Yeah, the elusive Champions League. Do you think they can do it?
I would say they're up there. I mean, I think Bayern Munich are the favourites still. I mean, they can just score whenever they want and not take their foot off the gas. I mean, they were drawing 2-2 with Salzburg, and then he's bloody at 4 goals in 10 minutes. So
yeah,
I mean, that shows how good they are. So I still think Bayern Munich are the favourites, but I would put Man City and Liverpool still to challenge for them.
It's going to be a close one. Okay, let's move on then to the Europa League. I mean, as with the Champions League, there weren't too many shocks. I guess the one that stood out was the AC Milan 0, Lille 3. Obviously, AC Milan have been in fantastic form, haven't they? And they put up a good team against Lille and lost 3-0 with a hat-trick.
Yeah, it's their first defeat in 26 games as well, AC Milan. So it shows how well they've been doing. And he's actually getting another hat-trick as well. So he's like the first player in history of the European competition to score 2 away hat-tricks in a single season. So he's got like 6 goals now in the Europa League and 2 hat-tricks.
That's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's not a great result, but I mean, you look at the group, they've played 3 with 6 points, only 1 point below Lille with 3 points and 3 games and 7 points. So, I mean, they're still finding the group, still expect them to go through. You do worry about Celtic in that group. I mean, it's not been a good season for them, is it? Sort of domestically, they're dropped a couple of points, which doesn't sound that bad, but it's Celtic, so it is. And also in their group, you know, they're below Sparta Prague now in the group. They're 4th.
I mean, us being obviously Premier League fans and that, we always associate the Scottish League being so inferior to the Premier League, and that is true. However, it always seems to be set. We always know that Celtic and Rangers are going to be at the top of their league, and obviously Celtic might give a game to a couple of teams in the Europa League or Champions League, but yeah, it seems like not all going well at Celtic at all, and it's a bit like, I don't know, Lille and Milan, you would say, are better teams than them. That's what it is. They are. You would say they're better teams than them because they're in a better competition. They've got better players than that. So, I mean, that's no disrespect to Celtic, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a bit hard to summarise Celtic. Sometimes when you see them on a European away night, they give a team a good old proper game. But then I've not seen that so far this year.
No, it was certainly not back in the times of the famous Barcelona game, are we? Them days have passed, and there have been questions over them. But I mean, they're in a position really where, I mean, if they win their next games, they're only a couple of points behind Rangers, but it's maybe a little bit off. But I guess we'll have to see. I think you are right in a way. I mean, maybe they just can't compete with these other teams. They don't have them players. They seem. Or they are a huge club, or I don't know how you define a huge club, but do you know what I mean? They've got that presence, haven't they? There's this big force, Celtic, and the fans are crazy and they're great, but their level isn't quite there. That's just is what it is, I guess. And we're going to have to.
I think for them to get to that level, the Scottish, obviously Premier League, will need a huge investment for that to be able to catch up on that. I mean, because Celtic and Rangers are the only dominant teams in Scotland and that. So, I mean, if the Scottish Premiership was to get more money into it, then you would maybe see them competing more and getting better players in. But it's hard for them to maybe compete because obviously you always see their players from the Scottish Premier League either maybe not being good enough for the Premier League or Championship. But I mean, Jason Cummins, he was banging goals in the Scottish Prem and now he's in League One playing for Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
So you would say the class levels can be so huge at times, but then you do get the odd story of Van Dijk coming from Celtic as well. You get Andy Robertson coming from the Scottish League as well. So you do get good players coming from the Scottish League and doing this, but it seems to be that there are more that don't seem to do well outside the Scottish League than more who do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's tough for them there, especially because obviously they've had Rangers so off the boil for so long. Obviously they're pushing back now, but that probably didn't help because I guess they haven't had to invest a crazy amount of money to win that league, have they? They've sort of been able to sort of plod along quite nicely. And maybe this sort of fierce competition from Rangers might equal a bit more spending, might equal their results. We'll have to see. Okay, then, should we mention the other games? I guess Arsenal getting a 4-1 win over Molde, Leicester getting a 4-0 win over Braga, and Tottenham winning 3-1 away at Ludogorets. And Kane got his 200th goal.
Machine. That's all I can say. He's got like...
Should we talk about Kane? How would you sum up his career? The guy... He's an absolute goal machine, isn't he? He seems like a nice bloke as well, which is annoying because he's a Spurs player. But, I mean, he's 27 now, Kane. What do you think he should do? Because the guy could clearly slot into another team and win pretty much anything, couldn't he?
I mean, this season he's got like, I was reading, he's either got 13 or 12 appearances and he's got 12 goals and 10 assists. That is ludicrous numbers for 13 games, have been involved in 23 goal contributions already. That is insane. But the thing with Harry Kane, I think all people are always going to associate him with is, will he be a one-man club like he was with Steven Gerrard? Or will he maybe bite the bullet and maybe want trophies elsewhere? I mean, he's coming into a point in his career where he's, 27, 28 now, is it?
27, yeah, 27.
Yeah, so this is peak years for a striker. And it's either does he stay at Spurs and obviously hope that they get a trophy and challenge in that, or does he maybe bite that bullet and want to get trophies somewhere else? I mean, Man City could afford him, you would say. Real Madrid, you could afford him. So maybe does he bite that bullet?
Yeah, I guess the main thing for him is that he's happy and enjoying his career. Clearly, he's scoring a lot of goals. I mean, look at someone like Alan Shearer, who's obviously the record Premier League goal scorer. But also the caveat with that is he'd already won the title with Blackburn. He had a Premier League medal, and then he went to the club that he really loved, and he made no secret that he'd always loved that club. The boy came home simply. With Kane, it's a bit different because that he hasn't won anything yet, is he? And to have such a distinguished career in terms of numbers, I mean, his numbers are a joke. And you got to think his rise, it came quite quickly as well, didn't it? I think at the time really wasn't sort of even in the squad, sort of went on loan, didn't he, here and there, Millwall and Leicester, was it, he went, and now he's this. Do you know what I mean? What a turnaround.
Yeah. I mean, he was like Leighton Orient, he was on loan at, and he was on loan at Millwall, he was on loan at Norwich, he was on loan at Leicester. And it's a bit like, he was on loan at Leicester in 2013. And then, obviously, once year 2013 happened, then he's banged in 31 goals after that season.
Yeah, absolutely scary, isn't it?
So it's a bit like he's come into his own. I mean, his numbers are 31, 28, 35, 41, 24, 24 and 12. 300 appearances, 200 goals.
Yeah, it's a joke. You do wonder with him, though, the type of player he was. Let's say he was a 5'8" speedster, right? Do you think there's more chance someone would have come in for him seriously? And that's no disrespect for him because he's a fantastic player and clearly his numbers are what they are. But if you look at Man City, you said they can afford him. Yes, they could, or if you can get him out of Levy's grasp, which will take some doing. But could he fit into that City system? I don't know. Can he fit into the Liverpool? Do you know what I mean? He's quite a unique player. He's a fantastic player. Where would he go? Real Madrid? Obviously, we've got Benzema who's still doing that role amazingly well. So why would you then spend 150 or what the hell it's going to take to get him out of the club with no need to?
I mean, you could say he can do better. This isn't any disrespect to Spurs, but he could, if he wants to challenge for titles, he could do better than Spurs because that's how highly everyone rates it. But he would want to probably go to the right environment and do that. Like, he wouldn't want to go PSG. PSG could afford him, but he wouldn't want to go to there. You would say Real Madrid, Barcelona are the top pinnacles of a footballer's career in terms of everyone, because they're the teams that won the most, you would say.
You wouldn't want to go Barcelona right now, would you?
No, but you would, yeah. But yeah, you would say, I mean, with English football, it's always changing. Like, when we were growing up, United were the biggest team. It was seen as a huge honour to play for United. But now it isn't like that. It's like an honour to play for City and Liverpool now, because they're the two top teams.
Yeah. It's interesting. Maybe he won't move because, I mean, probably people 2 years ago were having this same discussion. In fact, I know they were. And it's been sort of always come up, isn't it? But I guess every milestone, you sort of look back and I watched some of the highlights of his goals and I was just thinking, this is a joke. This guy's a joke. He's not, as I said, he's not fast. He's just incredibly clinical. His penalties are clinical. His heading is fantastic. His positioning. And once he gets in front of a player, he may not be the quickest, but you can't get back round him again because he's so strong. I mean, he's insane. Do you reckon he can beat Shearer's record if he stays?
Potentially, yeah. Why not? I mean, with the amount of goals he's getting, why not? Can he not beat it? I mean, it's in his grasp. He's 27. You know, he's got at least a good 5 years, 6 years of scoring goals.
And he sort of does go to injuries. I remember that he's obviously had a couple that kept him out for a bit, but maybe not the corona situation, obviously, but the break. Looks revived, doesn't he? He looks revived. And obviously the partnership he's got with Son now is is very
But you say
scary.
injuries, though, but you played 34 times last year, you played 40 times the year before that, 48, 38, 15, 51. It's like, you'd say maybe he suffers injuries, but he's still producing 30 plus games a year.
Yeah. What would he do if he was always fit? I'd be worried. Okay, I guess the only other news, I guess, really from this week, and we'll catch up with everything else, obviously, with everyone else at the weekend, but pay-per-view being scrapped, apparently. This could be the last weekend or the last few weekends before it's gone. Obviously, we spoke before about the pricing is ridiculous. People have put money towards food banks, etc., which is a lot better. Well done, everybody. And maybe even someone who's listened to this has done that, so fantastic work. But, I mean, it was never a good idea, was it?
Oh no, it was a horrible idea. It's absolutely just money grabbing at its best. It's like, who's going to pay £15 to watch Fulham against West Brom? No disrespect to them, but I wouldn't pay that £2 to see them in the Championship if they were playing against each other.
Well, who can afford it? It's
who can afford £15 along with what other people are paying for BT Sport and Sky Sports? It's just money grabbing. Like, it's not cheap to watch football as it is anyway. I mean, people got subscriptions for football at home. They got season ticket as well. Obviously, they can't use the season ticket at the moment. But imagine paying an extra £15 on top of your subscription already. It's just greed.
It is greed, isn't it? And especially at the worst time as well, at a time where people are losing their jobs. And football is so important to a lot of people. It gives people structure. I mean, I am one of them people. When we didn't have football, it was horrible. It really was horrible, because you realise it's not coming back, is it? We haven't got it this weekend. We haven't got it next weekend. So when it did come back, it was a great thing. And it's a shame.
When I was on football, I realised I had a girlfriend when I went on football.
Yeah, you had to speak to her. It was hideous.
Yeah.
No, but especially at that time, and the fans of these clubs, people are saying, like, who would have paid to watch this game? Who would have paid to? Well, the fans of that club obviously would, because these fans have probably travelled to the stadium for the past. Could even be lifelong supporters, so they would want to pay. But can they at the moment? Can they risk that with the job security, etc.? Probably not. So I don't know if it's going to go back to sort of free to air, because I do understand, obviously, there is a production cost for them to give it to us for free. Not free, obviously, because of the subscriptions, but you know what I mean? The extra money, I guess you got to pay for the... I don't know. Saying that, they show them abroad all the time, don't they? So it's not like the cameramen aren't there. They've just got to put it on our channels.
If you fancy watching a Premier League football, get a ticket to Tenerife, then you may be able to.
Yeah, when you can watch all the games for sort of £12 a month. I think Ellis said, didn't he, when he went to Canada travelling, and I think Dan said the same when he went to China. You can watch basically all of our football there for sort of a tenth of the price, and you can watch every game, which is So really, they should put it on free to air if they can, because really it's going to get more people watching the channel, firstly, and it's better for the sponsors they get and stuff as well. Yeah, exactly. Surely it just works out better for everyone, just for them to suck it up. Okay. I think that's it for this week. Do join us on the weekend, our Sunday night show, which will hit your phones on the Monday. Also, guys, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but all of our podcasts now are going to go onto our YouTube channel. We sorted out the template and everything with our production guy, James, who kindly did the voice note for us before. So we've been working on that. So this pod onwards, we will get the pod on YouTube, so you can give that a listen, okay? So if you're not allowed your phone at work, just slip your headphones into the computer. Hide it. Stealth it. You can hear us. All right? Thanks very much for listening. And from me and Ben, goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.